The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Welcome back, this is Grace.
And of course, you're still with us at the Durian Heat, where we discuss with Tim Fernandez on his company called Live and Inspire. But it's not just any other company, it's about creating social innovation.
Alright.
And earlier on, we discussed a lot about, the importance of living authentically, either individually or in a collective manner.
I think our larger aim is actually if it benefits the individual. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why our tagline is evoking transformation. But in the process of working with community, you grow. So the community is not really an end effect. It's the people within the community that is the end effect. So a lot of our work, if you realize, as much as we work with communities, building lots of community projects, and we work with corporates, we work to build community projects. It's really about the individual mending that. It's really about the individual receiving that part of the project. So it always goes down to the individual. And I think what I realized, if it only takes one individual to realize that, hey, I can do more, I can be more, I can contribute more. If that happens, then the community benefits. We really go down to the smaller picture, not really the bigger picture for us. And that's why somehow when at work, when I get my staff to liaise with our clients, I always tell, although you work with a brand, you're really working with an individual.
True.
If that individual sees and gets and somehow finds inspiration in the work you are doing, he can be an effect in his organization. He can start making a change in his family. He can start making a change in his community.
Right.
Because you affected one person.
And you don't work with any specific department, right?
A lot of departments, we have HR calling us in, we have marketing calling us in, we have branding calling us in. Because I think social innovation applies organizational wide, regardless of what segment you are in the organization. So they will call us in sometimes to brainstorm, they call us in sometimes to run trainings, they call us in sometimes to consult, sometimes they call us in to run the whole campaign. But the whole idea is to bring a social impact in the process of executing what they want to execute, right? And in that social impact, why we mean a social impact is not necessarily a mass community, but the individuals within the community is what we're just trying to impact. And we really want to do. We don't really want to change lives. We just want to evoke that transformation.
Right.
Because I don't think it's up to us to change people's lives. I kind of think that's violating, because if the person is not really ready to change, or he doesn't really want to change, and you go and force it upon him, that's quite an influence to pay for. But if the person is ready for it and he wants to do it, and somehow the work that I do initiated something, an idea, a thought, an inspiration, then I've really done my job. So that's why it's evoking transformation.
But then company Live and Inspire, don't you want to measure the influence that you've given to the society? And if there is any, how do you measure all those influences?
We don't really measure influence. To begin with, we are actually against influence. Because, like I said earlier, an influence can be a violating thing if the person is not ready for it. I think studies have shown, if you Google it on the internet, how advertisements bypass your conscious and hits your unconscious, and it happens so fast, so quick, so skillfully, without your permission, and it hits your subconscious, and suddenly you realize you're doing stuff that you're not really supposed to do.
Like buying the latest iPhone.
So and sometimes these advertisements make you gullible, and you suddenly realize that's not really you. So there's so much that hits your brain in terms of the subconscious that we don't even realize. So I think when we work with corporates, even that also, we become very clear with how we build things with them, and being conscious about what you're doing. So we know we can't measure. If you want to measure influence in a traditional aspect, like what's your reach, how you've done that, I don't think you can do that with transformation.
I see.
Especially with an individual transformation, because you're always growing. And your transformation could be very different from your transformation.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So how do you measure that? I can run a campaign on kindness, and I could evoke various kinds of behaviors just through kindness. So.
But I think one transformation that probably we can measure is from one of your earliest project, which is a project collaboration with Starbucks.
The Live and Inspire series is just a platform we created by accident.
By accident.
By accident.
I like
because
that.
we wanted to promote. We wanted to create an awareness about our conference. And somehow the series that we launched at a roadshow at Starbucks became more famous than our actual conference. And we decided, hey, let's just build this into a product. So the Live and Inspire series, the essence of it is just, it's a bite-sized, unconferenced, playful session that is supposed to provoke you to think slightly more than what you think life is about. If you think leadership is this is what it's about, somehow you will find someone standing on stage and saying, no, leadership is so much more than that.
Right.
If you think your life is so limited in terms of knowledge and how you perceive things, then there's going to be a speaker up there that's going to say, no, there's something more to this than life. So the unconference coffee session is basically to provoke that. That's our intent. If I can get you to think that there's more to life than what you're just doing, then I've done my job. That's why if you look at the Live and Inspire series, we feature people who talk about astrology, we feature people who talk about art, we feature people who do scuba diving and how they are using scuba diving to actually change the environment. And we have actually had KPMG come in to do that.
Wow.
And how they measure that, and it's interesting how he built that into a culture within KPMG. And then you have people who start off business and how they do it effectively, So there's not one way to be successful in life or to live a successful life.
Correct.
There are many ways to it, and it's just how authentic you embark on that, and in that process you evolve to become more you. And that's what we were trying to propagate.
So this at Starbucks now, you've had a few series already.
We ran over 70 weeks at Starbucks. 70 weeks is quite a long time.
So how has it been so far in terms of the feedback and from the audience?
We get mixed audience,
Right.
Audience from the young. We don't have a profile of audience, and sometimes advertisers ask us, what's your profile of audience? And I say,
But that's the common question that you.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
even us, we've always been asked, like, are they the youngsters? Are they the oldies? But it's hard to pinpoint
it's
one.
very hard, especially in this day and age. Regardless of your age, you're looking at content. You can be 18 years old and you could be reading content.
Correct.
You could be 60 years old and you still could be reading content. And all that content could be health related, business related, venture capitals. There are many content, and it goes back to interest basically. So our profile of participants vary based on the speakers. We realize if we bring the business-based speakers, then it's a different profile. If you bring the arts-based speakers, it's a different profile. If you have a band performing, it's a different profile.
It all depends on the interest also.
So we realized, hey, this could be quite fun then, and that's why we vary the speakers, because we said inspiration does not necessarily come through business. Does not necessarily come through someone who's made it big. Inspiration can come through music, can come through poetry, can come through so many things. Even astrology, you read, suddenly you realize, oh, that's some new knowledge, that I want to explore. It can come from any angle, and that's the point we wanted to put out,
So throughout this series, you managed to approach different group of people, basically.
Yeah. We've had Marina Madi, and she was a great inspiration to be on the platform. We've had Azran. We've had Dato' Wahid when he was the Maybank head, and he spoke on about leadership on a whole new level.
Wow.
We had Dian Vimal, the chairman of Friends to Mankind, and he spoke about transformation to humanity on a whole different level. So it can really vary in that sense, and the whole idea is can the participant be ready for learning?
Right.
I can be something. How do I, if I run a business and I look at FAST, for example, performing, how can I use what FAST has come to in my business and bring that color to my business? If I look at astrology, how can I bring that into my business? If I look at art, how can I bring that into my business? So my business and how I run my business becomes rich. Even how I think becomes rich. That's how encompassing and more holistic a person we want to equip a person.
Very interesting.
We will continue our conversation after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned with us at the Durian Heat.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.